Check. All right. Just thought we'd jump on for... What up, Rel? How are you doing, guy? Thanks for jumping in. We're going to be talking Mavs rotation, not grinding down to minutes particularly, but just kind of slotting players where we think they're most likely to go. I'd love to hear your thoughts. You're actually got time. You got to go. Thank you, Dr. Let's go. Hey, thanks for jumping in. Just had a few minutes here on my day off. I know a lot of people are on their lunch break, so I was just like, hey, let's talk Mavs. That's like my favorite thing to do, right? I know it's one of your favorite things to do. So a starting question is, I just asked Twitter a few minutes ago, what non-superstar player do you think is most likely to have the biggest impact? And I narrowed it to 3 names, right? I excluded Luka, Kai, Clay, and even D-Live. And I just limited it to Hardy. Let's just jump here to Twitter. Hardy, Knife, Najee, and QG. Nick says, I think PJ Washington's going to have a great season too. Oh, we're about to talk about that, Nick's. Hang in, unless you got a jet. I'm going to ask a question about PJ that involves PJ. So get ready with your counterpoints or your thoughts on PJ there, because I'm a big PJ fan. But I do have a question in a second. So let's just jump into Twitter for a second here. I asked, let's see here. Got 6 responses, got 417 votes, and just under an hour. That's pretty good. Who will make the greater positive impact on the Mavs this regular season? So I limited it to 82, right? Like the regular season. I didn't say who's the better playoff player, who's going to more likely get you to 16 wins in the postseason. Regular season, who is most likely to have a positive impact or the greatest positive impact? And in 417 votes as of last refresh, Najee Knife Marshall is running away with it with 56.5% of the vote. You guys in the comment section, let me know, how did you respond to this question, or how do you respond to this question? Do you think Najee's the clear answer? Do you think QG's got a chance? No one with love for Hardy. Here, man, I find myself in the weird position of defending Hardy recently. I've been a pretty outspoken critic is probably the wrong word, but like I've been suspicious of his actual ceiling, right? But I'm seeing him just hit threes, and he's never going to be the most athletic guy, but I'm liking what I'm seeing. He's not going to be a primary facilitator. That's not in his bag, and I don't think that's developing at any point in his NBA career, but the shot looks really good. And I feel comfortable saying that as someone who's been critical of him. He's 21, 22 years old. He's a kid. He's a baby. But the shot looks pure, and we know he's not ever scared. He's not ever scared. So the stage is not a problem for him. He believes in himself, and I think with good reason. He is a born scorer. What he lacks in burst and athletic ability and even size, I think he makes up for as a shot maker. I mean, it still is the most valuable trait or skill you can have in the league is, can you put that ball through that hoop? And Hardy can do that. And I've been especially impressed with his catch and shoot threes. So there's that. So he's getting no love from the Mavs faithful. Maybe the MFFLs have given up on old Hardy. But it looks like Knife is running away with it. And Quentin Grimes has a respectable 37, just jumped to 36.5% as one more person voted for Hardy. So let's see what some people are saying here, and then I'll jump into y'all's comments. Keith said it's a good question. I would have left Hardy off entirely, though. Okay, I can see Quentin playing so well on both sides that of the ball that it causes a real problem for Kidd on who gets the minutes. Yeah, hoping Najee does the same. The team is stinking deep. Yeah, I agree, Keith. Dwight says, I'm not an expert, but I voted Hardy. I like the vote, Dwight. I like the belief in our kid. I really do. I do. Little Buff Boys says, if it's not Najee, we might be in trouble. Okay, so I get what you're saying there. Okay, I'm going to ask a question about Najee in a second when we start talking about the rotation and who may be getting the bulk of minutes and things like that. I don't necessarily agree. I see where you're coming from because Najee was, of course, the big signing. A question I've been asking is, maybe Najee was the big addition, in addition to Clay. Excuse me. Forgive me, everybody. In addition to Clay. Maybe Najee is an awesome addition. I'm just saying don't dismiss Grimes because I think he is the point of attack defender that we will be needing and that as the season progresses, it will be clear that we need. And I'm just saying I think he's going to get a lot of big minutes against big scorers. And I think Grimes is up to the task. And I think he's another one of those guys like Najee, like PJ, like the majority of the team, honestly, who just ain't scared. Like, I think Grimes is not scared. I think he's hungry to prove himself in the league. Luca Update says the Knife. I love a good the butcher there. That's a nice one. And then Turkey says easily Najee. Okay. All right. So it looks like Najee's running away with that. Fair. Okay. All right, let's jump back in here. Nick says Marshall because of the defensive ability. Yes, absolutely. Really plus defender and solid third ball handler, right? I really think so. I think that about Marshall. What I'm saying is I think the defensive ability on Grimes is getting slept on by some Mavs fans. I'm not saying you, Knicks, but I think some Mavs fans might be sleeping on Grimes as a defender. We'll see, right? I could be proven wrong on this, but I think he has the reputation of it as a defender. People who loved him in New York really praised him as a defender, a really like gritty, tough-nosed defender, not scared of any challenge. And that's what we need, right? That's what we need, but with clearly a better shot than someone like D. Jones. So I could see him slotting into a bench role, not a starter probably, but I could see him slotting into some really meaningful minutes, taking on the challenge of really, really great, covering a lot of great scores out there. Nick says Mavs are trying to win now, so Hardy is going to have to wait until he can be trusted, especially on defense. Yeah, I don't think that defense is coming, man. I don't know if that's in his toolkit, to be honest. He's just not a great defender. Rel says Grimes is an excellent defender. Thank you for that insight there, Rel. I appreciate that. I've only watched, I can't stand it when people represent themselves as like being the all-inclusive, all-encompassing knowledge of every player in the NBA. I can look at stats, and I can listen to the reports of other people, and I have, but I have not watched much Quentin Grimes in my life, right? I'm not watching random Knicks games on a Thursday, and he didn't play at all, and last season with Detroit was just a wash. It was just a lost season. But what I've seen in admittedly highlight packages is a guy who I think can defend, and Knicks fans really loved him. And if Knicks fans love you, that means at the very least you're tough, right? Because they don't like soft boys. If you're soft up there, they're not going to like you. And so Grimes is at least tough-minded. And man, is that not something that we have seen the value in making deep playoff runs, right? When you get weak-minded in the tough moments, when the butthole clenches, when the pressure's on, when the butterflies are fine for everybody, right? But when the butterflies go to fear or timidity, like we've seen Maxi Kleba have at certain moments, like we saw Dante Exum seem, and I'm so in favor of Exum. I believe in Exum, but it looked like the moments were getting to him a little bit in the postseason, which shocked me. So I don't think that's going to happen with Grimes. I think Grimes is a 16-game player. I think he plays in the second season well. So. Yeah. I hate that too. Yeah, just admit when you don't know something, right? Like that's fair and honest. And when like I'm a pastor, right? And when someone comes to me and has a great question theologically or about the Bible or about God or something like that, I find it very freeing to go, man, that's an awesome question. I'm not sure I have the answer. Let's find the answer together, or let's go hunting for the answer together. When someone admits that they don't know something, I immediately respect them more. I just immediately am like, oh, you're the kind of person that can be trusted. You're not the kind of person who has all the answers. I always tell people, you want to find the liar the quickest, find the person who has all the answers. That's the one who's playing a con game. When they act like they have all the answers on anything, that's the con man or the con woman right there. Nick says, I think Grimes is a better ball handler and finisher, but Najee's a better defender and shooter. And they also guard different positions, right? Najee guards up, Grimes guards down, right? Grimes is going to guard 1s and 2s predominantly, maybe some 3s. Najee's going to guard 2, 3s, and 4s, right? So, Nick, you may have a better handle on Najee as far as his versatility goes than I do, and I'll give you the benefit of the doubt right there. All right, so let's talk. So the Mavs faithful, at least as of today, before the season, 4 days before the first game, are saying they really are believing in Najee. So I don't have this as a graphic for you, so you're just gonna have to think along or look at something online. But so here's what I've got. Starting 5, I think, is going to be Luka, Kyrie, Clay. Luka, Kyrie, Clay, PJ, D-Live. And if it's Gafford, I'm going to sigh and I'm just going to scratch my head. But we all know that when it's butt clenching time, D-Live's going to be on the floor because the defense is different with him out there. And I think the offense is different with him out there too. The passing, I think, is much better. But those are the 5 that I would say are clearly the 5 that I would project as the starters. So Luka, Kyrie, Clay, PJ, D-Live. Just from anyone in the chat, is there any like real clear, oh, I don't think so, I don't think that's the starting 5? Because I think that's kind of the consensus right now. I think most of us who are thinking fans are going, that probably should be the starting 5. So I'm not going to go long today, but I've got a little set of notes down here. So I've got Luka, right? And then I've got maybe Grimes coming in after Luka, and as Grimes comes in and maybe takes Luka's place, maybe the ball falls to Kyrie. Obviously, Kyrie takes point of attack, and he's going to be running the offense. So I've got Luka, Grimes, Hardy, something like that. I've got Kyrie, Grimes, Hardy. So I find that Grimes and Hardy are kind of interchangeable right there as far as the positions that they can potentially fill. I don't think Gortman's going to see any minutes. If he forces himself into minutes, that is either a really bad sign or an amazingly good sign, right? I just don't think on a team that's vying for a championship and trying to get back to the finals, you're going to have a two-way guy getting minutes. If he is, it means there's injuries. Or if it is, it means he is blowing by the guys in front of him. And maybe that's an amazing, amazing outcome. Don't be surprised if Grimes becomes a starter at some point. I've been saying that, Rel. I've been saying that. I've been asking people. I talked to TGK the other night on his stream. I was like, "What do you think the chances are by the end of the season if Grimes could have had more impact than Najee?" And I'm not projecting that. I'm not rooting for that. I'm just saying, like, is there a chance of that in your mind? And I got TGK's response. He thought Najee would be the more valuable piece, and I think that's a safe bet. I really do. I'm just looking at the number of absolutely elite offensive initiators that we have in the West, and you got to have someone to slow those guys down. And I think Grimes is honestly our only good option for the little quick jittery guys. Who else is with Exum out? And I think Exum does a good job with Exum out for 2 or 3 months or whatever it is. I think Grimes may be the only realistic option. So I find that pretty interesting. Nick says, I can see Marshall starting over Clay, and then Clay finishes the game, right, to kind of honor him. And when you need a big shot, I could see that too. Here, let me just, so the starters I have that I'm projecting are the safe guesses. Luka, Kyrie, Clay, PJ, D-Live. Nick says you could see Marshall taking some of Clay's starts. Okay. Yeah, I think that's very fair. And if he deserves it, give it to him. Give it to him. Like, let's not coddle people's egos, right? Clay is going to come in and I think be awesome at hitting open shots. We'll see if he can defend. I still think Clay can be a passable defender against larger guards and wings. The quick guys, he doesn't have a chance. He's just lost that ability. So here's my question. Rel, so I'm going to ask this question after I read your comment, Rel. Rel, I've been saying all season he can be what we wanted Josh Green to be. Grimes, absolutely. Yeah, I posted a short the other day, got a bunch of views, and it was just me honestly, sincerely laughing and just saying Quentin Grimes is Josh Green, but good. Like he's what we wanted Josh Green to be, and I like Josh Green. I'm not trying to rag on the guy, but I think Quentin Grimes is a slightly less athletic version, or maybe a less explosively athletic version of Josh Green's ceiling, right? I think he's already a better shooter. I think he's already a better defender. Josh Green was a decent passer. That's one thing that I haven't heard anyone mention this offseason. I don't know about Grimes as a passer, but he has thrown a couple nice passes to D-Live on pick and roll, stuff like that. And once Kyrie and Luka are playing, all of the support players' passes get so much easier, right? Najee's passes get easier. Grimes' passes get easier because they're just not going to demand the defensive attention anymore, right? Nick says, I think Klay should only guard small forward and slower shooting guards. Yeah, and you know what? I've seen him guard LeBron. And LeBron is basically a power forward at this point in his career, right? And he held his own against LeBron in a game against the Lakers last season that I watched. I was like, okay. So he is strong. He's not as strong as LeBron, who is, but he held his own. And I was like, okay, so this is your wheelhouse, right? Guys that you may be quicker than, but they may be stronger than you. You are still strong enough to defend. That seemed like that felt like what Klay was going to do solidly on the defensive end. I think Grimes does everything better than Josh Green except dunk it. Yeah, that burst, right? That explosion. I don't think he's as an explosive athlete as Josh Green. Rel says he was a playmaker in college. Grimes was? Oh, I didn't know that. Did he go to Houston? Is he a Cougar? Does that ring true to y'all? Was he a Cougar? Jason Kidd touched on it before. Okay, so Grimes was a playmaker in college. I did not know that. That's awesome. Okay, so that's great. All right, so here's the question. And simple yes or no, or you can give me your thoughts. This is just a thought that's been bouncing around in my little basketball brain, right? Is there any world where both are healthy, where the facilitation, the three-point shooting, the second or third level playmaking creates a scenario where Najee should be starting not over Klay, you know where I'm going, but over PJ? Listen, that's a thought that I've had, and I'm just like, I think my answer is no. I think there's probably not any real chance of that. And I hope PJ plays well enough to where it's never even a thought in kids' mind. But is that a crazy thought? They're roughly the same size. I think they're both dogs defensively. So Nick says no. Why is the answer a clear no? Why is it not something to at least consider? Najee's probably a better three-point shooter, definitely a better passer. I'm guessing a better defender. What either has PJ earned, or what does PJ do clearly better? PJ's probably a better rebounder. Why is it a clear no, Knicks? PJ's length is too important? Oh. Okay. I don't know that their wingspan is very different. Is that what you mean by length? They're the same height, right? Both 6'7", 6'8". And I don't know about wingspan as far as length goes. I could look that up, though. I'm not going to do it right now, but I could look it up later. You may be totally right. There may be like 3 inches difference in height, and I didn't realize. I thought Najee was 6'7", 6'8", and PJ was 6'7", 6'8". I thought they were about the same height. I could be wrong. PJ's length is too important. And Rels, you say you can't see it happening. Why? Give me a reason. Okay, so does PJ have an insane wingspan that I'm not aware of? I mean, he may have a plus wingspan, but I don't think is it something outrageous and I've just never heard this? PJ's length is too important. PJ's wingspan. Does Najee is he like a square? Does he have a negative wingspan or a not great wingspan? PJ's 240. Najee's 225. Okay. So in the post, that makes a difference. Does it make a difference anywhere else? So Najee's a better three-point shooter. Najee's a better passer. Is PJ a better defender? Do you think the size makes him a better defender? Because I think it's without question that Najee's a better three-point shooter and a better passer. I think power forwards will wear down Najee. Okay. Now, listen, that's very fair. This is an idea that I'm not saying it's a brilliant idea. And like I said, I hope it doesn't happen because that means PJ's balling, and I love PJ. I love PJ. I think we all do. I don't know anyone that doesn't love PJ. You think PJ covers fours and can cover some fives? I think that can cover some fives thing is a fan's dream. I really do. And I think he's tough enough to do anything. But I think they're both tough. I didn't know there was a 15-pound difference between the two of them. I mean, that's significant. But it's an idea I like. I'm just I like as a basketball thinker, so Najee's not a 2. He's a 3-4. And I think that PJ's a 3-4. So what we're saying is PJ's a bigger 3-4 than Najee. It looks like pretty significantly, 15 pounds. Not that I think that's the world of difference, but it definitely, gives you a little extra strength. Look at a random pic of PJ and notice how long his arms are. I'm not going to look at pictures to determine stuff that I can Google and find the facts on. I'll just Google PJ Washington's wingspan and Google the draft reports on Najee Marshall's wingspan. That's where we'll get the hard answer there. The weight is interesting. If one's 225 and one's 240, that's a difference, but they're both tough, man. They're both tough. They're both. I love the idea of them being on the floor at the same time. Honestly, I'm just trying to look at this because I'm saying I think we got 11 players who are going to play. I got Luka, Grimes, Hardy, Kyrie, Clay, PJ, D-Live, Gafford, Maxey. Who else do I have here? Omax will get some minutes. Who did I not mention here? I think I had 11. And then maybe Dante when he comes back, if he can work his way into the rotation. I certainly hope he can. Because I think he's a good secondary ball handler, right? Nick says, I think your idea would work if the Mavs are dealing with small ball. Yeah, and we will, right? Yeah, the number of Nurkic's and Embiid's and Jokic out there, most teams are playing a smaller, more athletic center, and fours today are small, right? I think PJ's probably an average sized 4 these days. So sometimes Google's wrong too. But I'd look at Draft Express, something like that. I don't mean just whatever Google generates. I would look at a particular website as far as wingspan. All right, let's see here. PJ covers forward, kind of for some 5. Yeah, I already talked about that. All right, so Grimes is the point of attack defender that I think we're going to need. I already talked on that. I think he's going to be steady from 3. I don't think he's going to get rattled. Rel says, you're not the only person I've heard ask this. Oh, good, because I'm the only person I've heard ask this. So good. I'm glad it's not a unique thought. So it seems to be a thought some people have. Okay, cool. Yeah, like I said, I'm really not super up to date with Najee and Grimes other than statistically and highlight videos. I saw them when they played the Mavs, stuff like that in years past, but I honestly wasn't targeting them. So I trust people who know them better than me. I'm just looking at Nick's comment about KD. Yeah. Well, KD says he's 6'11", so that's why that has been floating around forever, because he refuses to be called 7 foot, right? I've heard KD multiple interviews say he's 6'10", 6'11", when of course he's the Slim Reaper. We all know that. All right, guys. So I wanted to keep it brief. I really appreciate y'all jumping in and sharing your thoughts. I love bouncing ideas off of thoughtful Mavs thinkers. I really do. And Nix and Rel, thanks for jumping in, because y'all fit the bill as far as thoughtful Mavs thinkers and talkers. I appreciate that a lot. These are the kind of conversations I want to have, whether it's on the We Talk Mavs stream or TGK stream or my own channel. I just think it's fun to thoughtfully talk Mavs. There's so much garbage on Twitter and garbage on NBA YouTube too. There's just so many opinions that are just uninformed, lack creativity. I don't mean to sound elitist, but lack any sort of basketball intelligence. Rel, sometimes I got to just tip my cap to you, man, because I'm listening to sometimes your crew, not your faithful ones, but people get on there and just spout opinions, and I'm just like, how, if I was in Rel and King's position, how would I comment on this compassionately? How would I consider this opinion gently. How about I dismiss it gently? Because there's just a lot of bad opinions out there. If y'all are on, I know y'all are on Twitter too, and or X now, but I'm always gonna call it Twitter. But I get so many people come at me with the most generic and bad basketball opinions, and I try to be nice, or I just try to. I think we see it differently, my friend. Things like that. I don't want to go, that's a stupid opinion and you're clearly uninformed and you're buying into a generic media narrative, right? I don't want to say that. I don't want to go, listen, I played basketball at this level and I did this and I've watched basketball for 35 years, NBA basketball for 35 plus years. Recounting a resume like that is stupid, right? Especially when someone has an opinion that bad. It's just like, thanks for watching. Thanks for commenting. Thanks for not, especially when they're a jerk, it's tough. if they're like, you clearly don't know ball, and you're like, great, cool. Najee wingspan 7, PJ 7'3". Okay, thanks, Nix. I appreciate that. I appreciate you looking that up. That's a difference. Yeah, 3 inches. I gotta be really careful how I say that. That's a difference, right? So PJ with clearly the more impressive wingspan. That's how we'll say that. That's how we'll say that. You got the better. I limit who I talk basketball with. Yeah, you got to be careful, man. I'm going to be kind at all times, but I'm not going to be engaged, right? Like you just power down when the conversation's so generic that you're like, man, no one informed thinks of basketball that way anymore, right? No one's saying that only guys like Sean Kemp can play power forward these days, right? Or Karl Malone, or centers aren't only Olden Polynice anymore, right? Sean Brett, no, like the game has evolved, and we need to have minds and conversations to go along with the evolution of the game, right? All right, guys, I could sit here all day. Y'all have stuff to do. I have stuff to do. Have a great one. I'll talk to you soon. Just a few days away. Rel, I'll see you on a stream soon, brother. Have a good one. Thanks for jumping in, you and Nix. Y'all have good ones, guys. Go Mavs.